Hey all, welcome back to my channel, and another day, another video about eyeshadows. Today's video is extra exciting because it's a collab with Classy on the Run. Classy on the Run, her name is Alana. She, of course, makes videos here on YouTube on all manners of makeup and beauty, and even dipping her toes into like luxury and purses and that kind of thing. And she's actually in the middle of a declutter series right now, so if that interests you, I would really recommend that you watch that series because she started off with an eyeshadow declutter. But anyways, I get sidetracked. I was really excited when she reached out to me to talk about collabing on this video because I was actually kind of thinking about collabing with her too. So funny how that works. I'll have her video and her channel linked in my description box, so definitely check her out if you haven't already, and if you're not already coming from her channel to me. And if you are coming from her channel to me, hello! I am so happy to meet you, and I hope you'll consider subscribing before you go. I'm talking really fast because I want to get to the topic of the video. So the topic of the video today is the best neutral eyeshadows, our top five neutral eyeshadow palettes. Let me just preface this video by saying I'm not going to help you discover any new eyeshadow palettes today. These are very well-loved, long-loved palettes by the beauty community. So let me just go ahead and talk about the first eyeshadow palette. And so the first palette I have is the Anastasia Beverly Hills Soft Glam eyeshadow palette. And I'm talking about this first because this is kind of like a default entry into any YouTube video talking about beautiful neutral palettes. Here's the inside of the palette. I'm sure you've seen it before, and this is actually the palette that I'm wearing on my eyes today. And I did actually an all matte look today, which I've been really into all matte looks lately, even though the shimmers of Anastasia Beverly Hills formula is like a beautiful formula. I don't really have anything like brand new to say about this. It's a very dependable, staple, neutral to warm tone palette. It has a range of depth from very light to very deep, so it can suit a lot of different skin tones. The shimmer formula is very creamy and buttery and smooth and foiled and not very glittery, because my preference of shimmer eyeshadow formula is to be smooth foiled, not glittery, not chunky, and so that's what this provides me. Now, I know everyone talks about this palette, but what if you can't afford it? Don't sweat it, because I also recommend the Wet n Wild 10 Pan eyeshadow palette in the shade My Glamour Squad. So if you watch me regularly, I'm sorry I keep on bringing this up, but I have to bring it up in today's video too because I may have some new faces here on my channel seeing my video, so I have to mention this product. It's $4.99. It's a shade for shade dupe of the Anastasia Beverly Hills Soft Glam eyeshadow palette, and I'll actually put up an image here of side-by-side swatches by Beau Addiction. She has a YouTube channel as well as a very successful Instagram page showing the comparison between these two. So if you love this color story of Anastasia Beverly Hills Soft Glam, but you can't take the hit of $42 to buy it, if you're just going after color story, then this one's good. The formula is obviously very different, but I am a huge fan of Wet n Wild's 10 Pan eyeshadow formula. I think that it's one of the best from the drugstore, and it's one of the cheapest. That's everything I have to say about this very well-known, very talked about palette. So I'm going to move on to my next palette, which is another Anastasia Beverly Hills eyeshadow palette, and that's the Sultry palette. I'm really sad that this is not a permanent member of their eyeshadow line because I think it's one of the most beautiful palettes that they've ever made. I have got to admit that I do not use this gray shade a lot, but take out that shade and I use every single shade in this palette. You can even see I'm very excited about this, by the way. I hit pan on this rose quartz shade, and that is actually the very first pan I have ever hit on any eyeshadow in my life. So obviously I use this well. Everyone always talks about this being a cool tone palette, and you can use it for cool tones, but really it's not overwhelmingly cool tone, because I don't really like those tones on my skin because I'm super warm, super yellow. So I hardly ever use Slate or Twig down at the bottom here. But when you look at the rest of the colors, they are pretty neutral. So I go into this Bloom shade a lot to pair with Rose Quartz, which is this light shimmering pink. But other than that, you have all manners of bronzes to work with. You have 1, 2, 3, 4 gold bronze shades. You have this tone, which is very neutral. It's not really that cool at all. And the best black that I have ever used, this black noir. Did I just realize I don't know how to say that word?
Noir.
This black noir is the best black in my collection. It is better than the black in the Anastasia Beverly Hills Soft Glam, even though they both have the same shade name, so you would think they're the same formula, but this one is much smoother and more pigmented. This silver, by the way, is really surprising. It's not like straight metal. It has a little bit of taupe in it as well, so that makes this silver just very classy looking on the eyes. I actually did a swatch comparison of this palette with the e.l.f. bite-sized eyeshadow palette in the shade Truffles, so I'll link it here, and you can see kind of the side-by-side swatches of these silvers, and both of them have this kind of underlying taupe in it, which I think is just very flattering. Okay, so I talked about a couple of Anastasia Beverly Hills eyeshadow palettes. Now let me talk about my affordable pick for this video, which is the ColourPop Coconuts eyeshadow palette. And this is also very loved. Like, everyone talks about how like this is very like neutral, not cool, not warm, but like right in the middle. But personally, when I look at this, I see a pretty warm palette. Does my eye not see color the same way as a lot of people? My favorite shade, this is probably my favorite ColourPop shade among all of my palettes ever, is this middle one called Cocoa Crush. Let me give you a swatch of it. It is just absolutely insane. It is the most like interesting. It is just the most interesting, boring, neutral shimmer. Chef's kiss. But I also got to admit that this top shimmer, the white one called Palm Reader, is not my favorite because it's very flaky. I think that you can even see in the camera right now how flaky that is. And in a swatch, it's just, it gets everywhere when I try to use it. I kind of have to rub it in to get the chunks of pigment to like even out and become smooth. So not my favorite shimmer. I think that once you finally get it to like, once you finally work it in, it is very strong and very pronounced. But for me, using eyeshadows, a lot of it is user experience, and I don't like things that are difficult or messy. Let me just swatch this third shimmer while we're at it, and this is called Da Coco. It's a deeper shimmer, and it is actually very, so maybe this is where the neutral comes from. It's kind of cool. It has a tan brown base, but the reflect is very taupe. I definitely don't have a paper towel, so I'm gonna be touching on my palettes with these hands coming up. But anyways, for me, what constitutes like a great neutral eyeshadow palette is to be able to get a full look out of that palette. So that has to include very light tones and very deep tones. So we have that, a light matte, a light shimmer, as well as deeper tones down here, and then all manner of mid-tone shades in between. So the Anastasia Beverly Hills Soft Glam and the Anastasia Beverly Hills Sultry palette also had that range of tones. The fourth palette I have to show you out of 5 is a little one, and this is the Natasha Denona Mini Glam Eyeshadow Palette. So this is the cooler tone sister of the Natasha Denona Mini Nude Eyeshadow Palette. This one is more like neutral / warm, but this color scheme looks so much more interesting to me. This is like functional and pretty, but this is more fun. So that's why I'm including this as my best neutral eyeshadow pick, because it has a transition, it has a dark matte, and it has 3 different tones of shimmers for which direction you want to take your look. I like this olive forest green shimmer a lot, which is probably very much likely the reason why I pick this palette to be my 4th out of 5th eyeshadow palette in this video. And they're not ranked, by the way, these eyeshadow palettes. I'm just showing them to you in a random, non-preordained order, just whatever my hand touches. But yeah, this is one that I definitely want in my life forever and ever. My 5th and final palette is the Tartelette In Bloom eyeshadow palette. And here's what she looks like. She's a classic. She is the popular girl in school, but like the one that everyone respects. I also do have the Tartelette Toasted in my possession, but I picked the Tartelette In Bloom because I think that this has more range, whereas this palette is very orange, like orange warm. So in my head, when I think about like a neutral palette, I don't really think of a very, very warm palette. I feel like if you wear an orange warm look, that is still like making a statement with your eyeshadows, whereas this is truly just very neutral. My favorite row is this bottom row because I love pinks and reds and those kinds of tones. But you also have this super cool taupe shimmer here, and this is a really great like just swipe all over your lid, blend it up, and a one and done eyeshadow look. And there's something very sophisticated about just wearing one clean taupe eyeshadow. Another reason why I love this palette, I keep it on my bathroom counter to use every single morning, most mornings is that I use these two dark deep brown shades, take a mix of the two and use them to fill in my brows. I've been doing powder brows most days in like the last 2 months, and this is the palette that I have been most enjoying to do that with. I know that it won't look weird, it won't be too light, and it won't ever lean too warm for me. Let me tell you what eyeshadow palettes I don't think belong in this video, which is a hot take, an unpopular opinion on my part, but it's these e.l.f. bite-size eyeshadow palettes. Everyone's like raves about these so much, and like true, they're good for the price, but I don't want something good for the price. I want something that's just good, and the shimmers work fine. They're pretty, whatever, but the mattes are patchy. They're not unworkable, but they're like not comparable to Natasha Denona or anything to me. So I actually just did a whole swatch video and look video and comparison video of these palettes with some high-end palettes, so you can click here to watch that if you want. But I just wanted to mention, because these are neutral palettes that a lot of people have been loving lately. They're fine, but they're not amazing. Okay, well, that was everything I have for y'all today. Those are the 5 palettes. Even though like I'm a YouTuber or whatever, most days I wear neutral eyeshadows, and by most days I mean about 95% of days, 19 out of 20 days. So I can really appreciate a good neutral eyeshadow palette, and they're just what I'm most excited to talk about. So I had fun filming this video. Be sure to watch Classy on the Run's video as well, again in my description box. And if you like this video, please give me a thumbs up. What are, actually, now that I think about it, you absolutely must let me know in the comments what your favorite neutral eyeshadow palette is. What is your most dependable OG, okay, maybe not OG, but like, you know, your favorite. And of course, if I have convinced you to stick around, I hope you'll subscribe to me before you go, and then you can see my face in upcoming videos. So today's video is a collab, which is super exciting, but I actually have a small flood of collabs with some of your favorite YouTubers. I know they're some of my favorite YouTubers coming your way. So definitely subscribe if you want to follow up and not miss those. I have lots of fun, exciting things on the way, and so I don't know what to say after "and so." I hope y'all have a great day. Remember that y'all are my treasure. Find the beauty in every day, but most importantly, be kind to yourself. I'll see you in my next video. Bye.